Hey everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel God Will Do It For You. My name is Steven and I hope everyone's having a great start of the week so far. And what we're going to be talking about today is about a question that I was asked this past weekend, and it really did make me think, and because I know a lot of people that are Christians ask this same question, and even though we believe in the Bible and we understand things of the Bible, I'm pretty sure a lot of people even remember scriptures off the top of their head. There is a certain aspect of things that people do wonder, why is God allowing this, and what is the purpose, and why should we turn to Christianity when we see this? And the question was, why do so many Christians struggle, and why does it seem like God only blesses certain people with certain levels of wealth compared to other people that are doing the right thing as well? And we all know that, if we go to Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, it states, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare." And it also says to prosper in some versions, "and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope." We are all familiar with that. And we're all familiar with the story of Job. We're all familiar with a lot of the main characters in the Bible that are constantly talked about. Gideon, Joseph, David, Solomon, Abraham, even, just plenty of people, and even women that have had hopes of things in the Bible that played a key role into a lot of the sermons that are preached in the Bible as well in church. And what I looked at, and my answer was three different sections, because even I have asked myself this question, and this isn't one of these videos where I expect people to be like, well, you shouldn't be concerned about money. Well, when we live in a world that requires it, and when the Bible does state that I'll supply all your needs according to my riches and glory, people do wonder, well, why don't I have what I need? Because it's not like I'm asking for a lot. I'm not asking for 5 cars. I'm not asking to be rich. I'm just asking for food in my refrigerator. I'm asking for bills to pay. Why am I getting evicted? Why this? Why that? And that is, I truly believe that this is a legit question, and it's okay to ask that question sometimes. It's just like a child asking their father or mother, hey, why can't we go here? You're not going to just be like, shut up and don't worry about it, or because, we need to, you're going to give whatever explanation that you feel that they are able to understand, and also just to make sure that they keep them out, keep business out of other people's head. But my philosophy with this was, let's say you have a best friend and they're constantly giving you money, and then when they stop giving you money, that friendship is not the same. Now you're acting differently with them. Now you're moving differently with them, because what they used to give you used to make you happy, but now they've taken it away, and it's not because they're a bad person. It's, hey, well, why should I be giving this person all this money? And now the friendship has changed. I look at the relationship with God the same way. I look at it as, if God knew that anybody that came to Christianity, they knew that they were going to be wealthy, then is their faith really in God, or is it conditional based off of what God does for them? And so, yes, God will do these magnificent things for you, but it all comes down to being tested, and it all comes down to Him really seeing where your faith lies. I truly believe that God tests us in a way that sometimes seems a little cruel. I mean, look at Joseph. Joseph was in prison for 13 years. He didn't even do anything. He didn't even do anything wrong. He was just happy about a dream, and people were envious and tried to do him in. And I'm pretty sure he was thinking like, well, this is not fair. And he had to deal with that for 13 years is what their estimation is. And his faith still lied in God, and God rewarded him for that. He rewarded him because He tested him to see, do you really believe in me? Do you really believe in Christianity? Are you really on my side? No matter what your circumstance is, will you still honor me and give me glory? Because when Pharaoh asked him of their interpretation of the dream, he could have just said, this is what I believe. The first thing that Joseph said before he even told Pharaoh their interpretation was, all glory goes to God. This is God giving this answer. And so again, even after all this time, even after being forgotten in prison, being betrayed by his brothers, and waiting, just burning years of his life, he was still faithful to God, and overnight he went to second in command. This is what God does. A lot of us, we're in these circumstances. I'm pretty sure a lot of people were like, you know what, I lived better before I really started to learn God. Now that I've turned to God, life's been all kinds of crazy. That's because God's got to test you. He's got to see if you're really with him, or if you're with him because you're looking at the reward of certain things. And I know a lot of YouTube videos I've checked out, even just kind of plundering just before I answered this, and I've also prayed before I gave this answer on this video. A lot of the people that are talking about don't be worried about cars, this and that, they're making 6 figures and up. They talk about it in the video, you're like, I make 7 figures, but it's not about the money. And, and I know to the average person, it's like, well, it's easy for you to say because you got it. You got $1 million, you got 600,000, you got whatever you got. But what about the people that don't care about that and they just want enough? Still, God's going to test us. He is going to make sure that we are truly with him. And the only way to do that is to put us through it. To see that, hey, if life isn't going as they think it should go, will they still believe in me? And the story of Job gives us that testament where God allowed Satan to take everything away except his life, health, family, children, property, wealth, just to show that there are people out here that can go through these things and still believe in me. So after God saw that Job learned his lesson and then prayed for his friends that showed ignorance, then God's like, okay, I'll restore you. And the same thing happens to Christian folks. I truly believe that when people see the struggle of Christians, they're just seeing their current circumstance. Who knows what's going to happen a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now? That same circumstance usually is different. And a lot of people feel like if I jump over to this, I got to suffer. I don't look at it as you got to suffer. I look at you're going to be tested. You're going to be tested. And even if you haven't been tested yet, the test will come because you're like, God this, God that, I got a house, I got a car, this and that. I have a family member that lost all 3 of their cars in 1 week. In 1 week. Because things can be going good, and then God's got to test you to see where your faith lies. There's people out here that will be living for God. Life is good. They got a big house, new pair of clothes every other day. And then all of a sudden, their spouse now has cancer. And not only that, the spouse passed away from cancer. So now, let's see if you're still God when things don't go your way. God tests us. That's my answer. This is a test. Homelessness, that is a test. Let's see how strong you really believe in me when you don't have what you need. Let's see how strong you really believe in me. Let's see where your faith lies if you live in the shelter. Let's see where your faith lies if you're getting an eviction notice. Let's see if you still truly believe in me when you don't know what's going to happen next. Let's see if your faith is really for me. If all your bills are behind and you have more monthly money and you're just like, I don't know what's going on. I'm praying, I'm believing, what is going on, God? Because God is looking. He's looking. He's doing, I could just feel it in my spirit. I'm like, he's doing this. And he's like, let's just see. Because what good does it do to give you everything that you desire? And like I said, it doesn't have to be extreme wealth. You might just want just enough. You might be okay with that. Some people have different expectations. And I still believe that that's okay because God makes all these promises in the Bible and he is a God. He's a powerful God. Why not have expectations? Why not? And I truly believe that if you have the ability to weather the storm, that whatever reward that he decides to give you, you will say in the end that it is worth it. It was worth it. And that brief time period of your life, let's say it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, just 6 months, whatever it may be, you'll look back 10 years from now and be like, that's just a little small dent in the time frame of my current life. And now I'm reaping the rewards for my faithfulness. maybe you had the idea for a business. Now that business is prospering. Maybe you wanted a house. Now you have a house. Maybe you wanted you're like, hey, I just want a new car. But now you have two because you've been blessed. Usually God exceeds our expectations. He's that type of God. He's not going to just give you what you expect. That doesn't make, you're like, well, that's nice. He gave me what I expect. But usually he gives you what you don't ask for just because he is who he is. And so for anyone that's like, you know what, I'm believing in God, my current circumstances aren't what they should be, what I envision them to be, and things like that, God knows that. He knows that. I'm pretty sure Job felt that way. I'm pretty sure Moses felt that way when he was isolated for 40 years. I'm pretty sure David felt that way when he was like, how are they going to anoint me king and I'm sitting there hiding out in the cave? I'm pretty sure Gideon felt that way when he was like, well, we're being enslaved, that we're getting treated bad, we're on the verge of this and that, and now you're saying that you want me to handle this? But Gideon believed. Job believed. David believed. Joseph believed. Abraham believed. Solomon believed. Plus God kept his promise. So again, we serve a faithful God. We aren't going to go through life without trials and tribulations. But the main thing is we have something that we are blessed to have faith in. Having faith in God means that we have faith in something that's of substance, because there's proof of what God does out here. It's not like we're just having faith in man to do anything, because man can change their mind, man can pass away, and then at that point all their works and things go out the door. Anything that God does is long lasting. So when we wonder, are we making the right walk? We're like, hey, this is cruel, this is ridiculous, like I'm not doing anything wrong. Then that good. Know that you're being tested. It's one thing if you're planting a lot of bad seeds and you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing, this and that. But if you're not doing anything wrong and you're doing the Christian walk to the best of your ability, and you're like, what's going on? Just know in your mind that it is a test. It's a test. Every person of faith has to go through it. And what we're seeing is the final product of people that are successful because of their faithfulness. And if we're speaking of money, depends on that person's expectations in themselves. And at that point, God does what he does. Like I said, if you're like, I'm okay with just making just enough, that's fine. God's going to make sure that you have more than enough. If you're the type of person that's like, I'm ambitious, I envision myself making 6 figures, that's okay, God. That means the test is going to be exactly what it needs to be for you, so that way when you get it, you don't squander it. Because believe it or not, a lot of Christians make good money, but they're not a good steward of their finances. So sometimes God has to take it away and give you a little, so that way you learn how to manage that little bit. So when you get that lot back, and sometimes he just gives you back what you've had, and you're like, dang, I live even better. And because he has to put us through these things. Look at the prodigal son story. I wish they went further to say how he managed his finances after that, after he blew it. So again, God knows how to correct us. It may seem cruel, may seem unfair. It just may seem just wrong. But that's why he doesn't rely on our opinions to handle our lives. He's like, this is why I am who I am, because I know the best way to go about things to get you to change the way I need you to change. And sometimes he has to put you through the fire so that way he can bring you out as pure as gold. So I'm not going to beat this up too much, because enough is already happening out here. But I want you to have faith and just know that God is a good God. He's a faithful God. And if we pass this test, the longer the test, the bigger the reward. The longer the test, the bigger the reward. And that could be whatever reward it is to you. If you just like, hey, I would just like a new pair of shoes, you might get 2. Somebody might just buy it for you. You never know what God would do. You never know how he's going to bless you. But just know that if we keep our faith in line with what's right, and we're not looking at him as a money machine and as a genie then trust me, he will blow your mind. He will blow your mind. But just remember, even with elevation, there's still going to be more tests, because as he elevates you, new levels, new devils, harder tests. As they say, more money, more problems. But guess what? Through those prior tests, through the prior purification that he's doing in your heart and your mind and in your soul, you'll be ready to handle it. You won't be in shock. So just know that everything's going to be all right. Again, everything isn't perfect. I think my son, I didn't have enough money to get my son glasses until not too long ago, and he really needed glasses. And I can ask the question, why, when we need this, why don't we have it? But again, it's like, are you going to turn your back on me because of the circumstances not being the way that you want? When realistically, I was able to put my son in summer camp the whole summer, and there's plenty of kids I've seen out here that weren't in summer camp, just idle or riding around with their parents, going to work with them and things like that. And I'm pretty sure they would have loved to do it. So God is like, yes, you weren't able to get glasses for your son, but your son was able to enjoy time in summer camp, which made him where he was able to make new friends, do different sports, different activities, and he didn't have to see you going through what you went through, which is a blessing. So again, God does certain things even when we don't realize it, and we don't realize the true meaning behind it. It's like, are you thankful for what's going on? Are you content? And yes, I am content, but I'm not comfortable with this period in life. And that's good. You shouldn't be comfortable being like, you know what, this level of the state I'm always looking forward to what God has next for me. But am I content? Am I appreciative of what we have? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm thankful to be sitting in the car, because there's people that wish they could be in a car. And my car ain't perfect, but it drives, it cranks up, it does what I need it to do, helps me make money. Hey, would I like a house? Oh yeah, I would love a house. But I'm thankful to have an apartment. I really am. I'm thankful I can go in there and click the air on right now if I really wanted to. Hey, is my refrigerator full like it used to be earlier this year? Mm-mm. But are we missing a meal? Mm-mm. So I'm thankful to be able to eat. I'm thankful to be able to still have the ability to choose certain things to cook. I'm thankful. I'm thankful to be able to walk. I'm thankful to be able to see, breathe, do these videos. That means I have, the camera looks pretty nice. It does not. I'm thankful for all of this. And when we show that appreciation to God, and when he sees where our heart really is, that's when things are going to start getting interesting. So I hope this was enough encouragement for you, because we all need to lean on each other. And most importantly, we need to lean on God. And again, you'd be surprised, these comments that y'all are putting in, the people that are being vulnerable and actually putting their circumstance down there, you're being more of a blessing than you realize to those that are really struggling, or that they need that boost of encouragement. That's what this platform is about. We're getting close to 100 subscribers. Woo! And that's big to me, because I never would have thought something like that. When I first started out with this, I'm like, well, I'll try it. But it starts at 100, and one day it'll be 1,000, and one day it'll be 10,000, and one day it'll be 100,000, and one day you never know. All I know is this platform will be a blessing, bigger than I realize. And God's got to test you to make sure that you are who you need to be in order to lead people the right way. Because God does not play about giving instructions to his people. He does not play about who represents him. And he has to make sure we are ready for whatever it is he has for us. So get ready. Fight the fight. Dig deep. Make sure your faith is so planted and deeply rooted that there's nothing that can be done to you that can make your faith shakeable. There's nothing wrong with talking to God, but make sure that you respect him. And make sure that you don't forget about him and all that he's done for you. So that's going to be it. I know I don't normally do a video on Monday, but I felt compelled to do it because I just know that we need to make sure that we're good in here. Because if we're not good in here, it leaves room for the enemy to just start to really dig into our faith and make us really question God. And once you get down that route, depression, man, just, you don't want, going back instead of going forward. We don't need that. So I hope this has been a blessing. And until next time.